This podcast is part of the SomeBuddies network. You're never alone when you've got some buddies.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Best Darn Diddly Review Show. This is a weekly podcast for anyone who loves The Simpsons, or ever has loved The Simpsons, hosted by two dudes that grew up on The Simpsons. My name is Miles, better known as Mr. Most Days Off, and today we've got some investigating to do, and it turns out Richie and I aren't very good at it because we need a lot of help. But before we get to our guest, joining me, as always, your co-host with the most, Richie the Whiz Kid. How are you today, Rich?
I'm a little disturbed in the episode choice of our guest because it seems like every time Leonard Nimoy is stopping by, they want to jump on that episode. So I think
Holy
we need
shit,
to.
That's a connection I did not even make. Wow.
And
Excellent,
when I was on their show, we ended up talking about Star Trek. So it's just kind of there's something else going on here, I think. But we got time to get into that. I need to throw it back to you first. The man, the myth, the Mr. Jackass himself. It is Miles.
Well, today we are talking about the episode The Springfield Files, a parody of the much-beloved 90s television hit, The X-Files, and handpicked this episode by our guest today to come back and discuss. You haven't heard all three of them together since season 4? You've heard them all individually in the last few seasons, but we've got all of the train cars reconnected. Let's welcome back to the show all three members of the Derailers. Welcome to the show, guys. Or back to the show.
Fasten your seatbelts, folks.
Yay!
It's gonna be wonderful.
Special Agent Ripkin reporting for duty, sir.
Special Agent Goobs.
I have practiced this so many times. Special Agent Jenny Bean.
They
FBI.
can't see you open
I know,
your
I'm
badge.
flapping my invisible badge open here.
I'm just on my invisible typewriter.
Goobs, does yours feature a picture
yes.
of you in a Speedo? That's
You know
what
it does.
I need to know.
Ripkin's little spoon.
It's a great
Nice.
picture.
Excellent. So, it's been a while since we've had all three of you back on the show. We've talked a little bit about the Derailers just when each of you have come back, but guys, give us a little update about your podcast. Let us know what's going on in all three of your Canadian worlds.
Well, things are still going pretty strong with the Derailers, going more random than ever.
Yes.
We continue to struggle to find new topics because of everything that we've talked about in the past, which is everything.
We might talk about shoes one week. Who knows?
We're very close to the big episode 101.
Woo!
I mean, everyone celebrates, 100 or whatever. That's no big deal.
Dude, we should talk about the Dalmatians.
Goobs, please! So things are great. And you could follow that show at The Derailers on Twitter.
And we love Keanu Reeves.
Shoutouts to Keanu
Always.
Reeves.
How can you not? I mean, we've all seen John Wick 3.
Nope.
Not the first two, but the third one sells the franchise.
I've heard it's good.
Fair. All right. How many
Anyway,
of us is
before
that?
we start, thank you guys so much for letting us do this episode, because I am like the world's biggest X-Files fan, so I really wanted to do this. So thank you.
Oh, so happy to
And
have
one
you
more
guys
thank you.
here. You're very, very welcome for all of those. So let's
She
go.
had
We have
every
a
episode taped on VHS at one point in her
Yeah.
life.
on
Oh.
VHS.
I'm like an X-Files encyclopedia. Like,
Oh,
the one
gee.
thing I know is X-Files.
Oh, awesome. Well, I'm excited to hear your insight and perspective from this episode. I'm sure it's going to be great. Let's go ahead and set it up top
I'm
real
not
quick.
excited to hear Jenny Bean's insight.
I
Rude.
wouldn't be either, honestly.
I mean, her and I still got this beef going on here.
Oh my god, it had nothing to do with you. I love you. I just hated that episode. Did you listen to that episode? Because if you did, you would know why I rated it the worst.
Anybody want to fill us into what they're talking about? I know, but I'm thinking that not everybody listening to this
Yeah,
might. So.
Well, on my other show, the Secret Levels podcast, Cheap Pops there, we did an episode with Richie, and we did a live stream when we played Friday the 13th, the game, online. And Jenny Bean quotes that as the worst episode of it ever. And that was the only episode Richie is on. And that podcast is the only podcast that Richie actually listens to. So he was very disappointed.
That's a
There was other
benchmark right
people
there.
than him.
Honestly, I think the easy out for this one, so we can move on, is obviously it was Toby's fault. Let's be real. He's not here, so he
Whoa,
gets
okay.
the blame.
Dang, Miles going after his buddy guy, so. All right, well, I'll try to move on from this.
I really hope that you're not upset because I feel terrible.
How Canadian of you. I love it. All right, moving on. It's the Springfield Files today, which originally aired on January 12th, 1997, which was actually the same day that the Season 4 X-Files episode El Mundo Gira aired as well, which is just kind of a fun coincidence. This episode was actually written by a gentleman by the name of Reed Harrison, and it's his first time to be a Simpsons writer for this episode, which is like the third time I feel like that this has happened this season. Only this episode didn't fall under the leadership of Bill Oakley and Josh Weinstein. No, this was one of the episodes in season 8 that ones Al Jean and Mike Reese were actually contracted to come back and create, along with an upcoming episode, Simpsons Califragilisticexpialidocious, which we'll have another very special guest for approaching that episode. But there's a fun little history with the writing of this one, because Reed Harrison was actually hired by Al and Mike to write an episode for The Critic. Unfortunately, however, that series was canceled before he ever got the opportunity to do so, and being the good dudes that Al Jean and Mike Reese are, they decided to give this guy a shot with a Simpsons episode instead, and this is what he created, which is pretty damn impressive if you really think about it. The chalkboard gag on this one is "the truth is not out there." I think that might be a reference to something.
I don't know what.
And you know what? Ain't that just the truth? That's not out there.
Exactly.
No.
We get the couch gag here, which is the Simpsons come in on rocket packs, and
You
Maggie
almost went Canadian there, Miles.
and Maggie comes in all zany before coming to
Rocket
a
packs?
very safe landing. And the episode officially opens with apparently some Canadians' favorite celebrity guest star, Leonard Nimoy.
We do love him.
I didn't even
great.
put that connection together.
I'm just noticing it now as well, but still, we love our Nimoy, I guess.
right.
You know, shout outs to Leonard Nimoy.
Hell yeah. You
Great
rules.
observation on that one, Richie, because
Yeah,
for those that
absolutely.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
didn't realize, the Derailers actually joined us for the monorail episode of The Simpsons, which also featured Leonard Nimoy. Crazy.
Well, speaking of Leonard Nimoy, he wants to talk about a following tale of alien encounters. It's true, and by true, he means false. It's all lies. But they're entertaining lies. And in the end, isn't that the real truth? The answer is no.
This is one of those just random things that The Simpsons does where honestly, it doesn't make any sense that it's here, but it's still really, really funny. And it is actually Leonard Nimoy guest starring, along with two other big guest stars for this episode, but we will wait till we get there and probably give Jenny Bean the honors of introducing those characters. For now, we learn that our story begins on a Friday morning in a little town called Springfield, and as Leonard Nimoy narrates, it goes from images from his book, and it's a really good animation here where it transitions from like a black and white ink drawing to The Simpsons that we all know and love.
Which is a color ink drawing.
Exactly. For at least the time being. Homer is actually trying to find a way to sneak out early to go to Moe's because it's Friday, and he has a great idea. He got it from this movie that he saw. It was a movie about a bus that had to speed around the city, keeping its speed over 50, and if its speed dropped, the bus would explode. I think the movie was called The Bus That Couldn't Slow Down.
One of the greatest movies ever made.
Absolutely.
That is a sick movie starring another gentleman that y'all are quite fond of.
Keanu Reeves.
Dennis Hopper. Wait, what?
Dennis Hopper's not bad.
He does stab a man in the ear with a screwdriver.
True.
So, yeah.
And he gets
Damn.
decapitated. Spoiler alert.
I do love the bus that couldn't slow down. Classic Hollywood film. Great stuff.
Honestly, I'm immediately torn in this episode because it's either this joke or a joke that comes at the very end of the episode that is competing for my favorite joke. But I love this joke so very much, and the delivery by Dan Castellaneta as Homer is just so wonderful, the way he emphasizes the word speed so much. And then that slow reveal of, oh yeah, I think it was called the bus that couldn't slow down. So good. So
But I'm actually shocked that Homer learned something from that movie and tried to use it to go get drunk.
Yeah, especially that creative. Is that he learned the loop part of the security footage. Very smart part to learn.
Well, and that means he paid attention all the way to the end of the movie, because that's not something that happens till close to I think it's in the third act whenever they figure out the
it's in the
surveillance
last half.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
Yeah. Though maybe Homer should have paid a little bit more attention to the part where they have to make it seamlessly transition, because he uses a VHS tape from the 1970s where I think Lenny has an afro, or Carl, I don't know. They all have very
I think they all have
afros.
afros.
Yeah.
Doing disco dances.
Shit on it!
I mean,
Where'd he
it's
get the
funny,
videotape from?
I know, it's funny.
He just had a recording of work. Where did he get that from?
I think he got it from, he must have, the old security footage.
I mean, he had
They're
to
watching all the
get in
time.
good. Yeah, I mean, he had to get in good with the security guard. And clearly he doesn't have to get better at it because it works.
And did he work at the power plant back
But
in the
remember
disco
how
era?
it's kind of funny too, because how in Speed when she drops her bag, it wasn't seamless in Speed either, so it's funny.
That's how he gets caught, I think, eventually.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
how he catches
Yeah.
it, is because he sees her with the bag, and then the bag's on the floor and then back in her lap or whatever, right? So
Totally.
Well,
It's kinda
at
funny.
least he didn't steal an idea from the second movie. The boat that shouldn't have left harbor.
yeah, wasn't that great?
Also a great film. 14 knots of pure excitement.
Oh.
So this actually leads to a great little interaction between Mr. Burns and Smithers. As Richie pointed out, the tape actually tricks these gentlemen. And I guess it might be just because Burns is also distracted by Friday as he's talking to Smithers.
So, another Friday is upon us. What will you be doing, Smithers? Something gay, no doubt?
What?
Lighthearted, fancy-free. Mothers, lock up your daughters. Smithers is on the town.
Exactly, sir.
I just love how he's squirming inside of his own skin. He's like, fuck.
I'm outed. Yeah, again, this is from a time period before Smithers was officially out of the closet, though anyone who's been paying attention for any amount of time probably has a good idea that he, is living a different lifestyle than Mr. Burns suspects.
I actually like that during this moment, too, you could still see the security footage in the background, and they had it still cutting out and restarting every time, too. So the animation stays fluid there.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah.
Very good. There's also a very quick sequence at the Springfield retirement castle where Jasper is like, thank God it's Wednesday, as he takes his pills.
Thank God it's Wednesday.
It's Friday.
Uh-oh. Wrong pills.
And all of a sudden hair grows up all over his body.
Little help?
What the fuck is Jasper taking?
I don't understand
Definitely
if
some sort of hormone enhancer for sure. Some testosterone.
It's never too late to live the life you want to live, man.
Jasper might be the goat. Who knows? But I'm still wondering if Mrs. Glick actually owns her home or not, because she's been popping up in the retirement center a lot the last few seasons. But Bart was doing chores at her house a few years ago, so I don't understand what's going on anymore with her.
She finally lost it.
She got booted. All those, it was, those old pumpkins put her over the edge, man, and she just had to get out of the neighborhood.
Or some Australians came over and literally gave her the boot.
Oh. That's a bootable offense. Honestly, I feel like I might be losing it a little bit here in this next sequence. Is this a repeat sequence from another episode? Because I swear we've seen this joke before where they're playing the Waterworld arcade game and Milhouse is putting in 40 quarters. Is this a callback or is this an original joke, or am I tripping entirely?
I think it was just a different game.
But similar joke where they're putting in a lot of quarters.
Yeah, it was Bart playing some game with the grandma where it beat up the The guy coming in to shoot or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think maybe I've just seen the Waterworld game on memes or something, but there's also an Aloians arcade cabinet in the background that I noticed. Not aliens, but Aloans. Or Aloans.
There was a giant monkey that's just not a draw anymore.
Oh, no. Poor Donkey Kong, man. His drawing days are over.
Hey, but he still got it.
That was the best.
He whips the barrel at the owner.
But before too long, you're going to see him signing autographs in like a subway station, and no one's even going to be like knowing who he is. It's going to be real sad. That one's literally just for Chris Manley and no one else. That's the best way to make jokes, is for individual people listening to a podcast.
And to make the crowd go silent immediately after you say it.
That's how you cater to the masses.
That's right.
One at a time.
So yeah, he throws the barrel at his boss or whoever it is that's telling him he's not a draw anymore. And again, we see the boys are getting ripped off. All in all, it's not really a great Friday for anyone. I guess Dr. Hibbert's doing all right, except that he leaves Mole Man in his office behind the X-ray machine.
Poor Mole Man.
Hello. Hello.
For a brief moment, it seems like Marge is doing well because we get a glimpse of the living room, except then it pans out and we see that it's not her living room, but the cover of Better Than Your Living Room magazine, and her room is an absolute sty, to the point where I think there's even a, like, baby deer is what it was.
Yes.
Fawn. Hey.
Is this something that happens in Canada? I mean, I've never heard of this before.
Frequently.
They smashed through a lot of restaurant windows, actually.
Yeah.
Do they really?
They had to close down a school because there was 2 deers in the backyard, and they were like, no, they shut all the doors in the school, like a lockdown, because there's deers out there. It's like, it's fucking deers, man.
I almost hit a deer driving to a gas station near my work.
Holy shit.
Yeah, man,
I work in like the city.
Yeah, but that area is
Your
bad
houses.
because it's you're by the lake too.
Yeah.
We have to lock down our schools because there's a shooting at them about once a week. You guys have fucking deer invasions.
Deer issues.
That's the most Canadian thing you could have possibly said.
Deer lockdowns.
Yeah.
You should see what they do when there's a moose back there.
My God, it's like a.
Kids under your desk.
You guys are too nice to them.
They are cute.
Yeah,
That's
Jenny's
Jenny's
probably
favorite
feeding
animal.
them and smoking with them, yeah.
Fuck yeah, riding on those antlers, smoking big joint, fucking chilling. What up, Moose? And it's gonna be like, what up, Jenny?
I can't wait for
Then
Moose.
it
get it.
pans out, and then it's just one of those little rocket ships you put a quarter
Nope.
in.
Never. I'll be a real moose one day.
Whee!
Another great little sequence. Honestly, this first act, Richie and I were talking about it a little bit earlier off the air, but this first act is kind of interesting because it's not boring, but it is mundane. It's just a lot of little bits of exposition and dialogue between random characters. Like even Lisa and Bart have a little back and forth where Lisa's very excited because it's time for ABC's TGIF lineup.
Miles, when you get a little older, you'll learn that Friday is just another day between NBC's Must See Thursday and CBS's Saturday Night Crap-A-Rama.
Crap-A-Rama's
For the
great.
record, when he says we talked before the recording, he means we literally went, the first act short. Yeah.
That's not true. We were playing Mua earlier and we were talking about it.
Yeah, I know. The Canadians made us quit playing Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, which just came out today on recording dates. How dare you guys?
Hey man, I could have kept smoking weed. Like honestly,
Yeah, same,
we can
bro.
go right now.
Yeah, way to be hostile to our guests because you want to play a video
maple
game.
syrup harvest.
Gotta tap those trees, man.
You know what? Richie might be in a rut, but at least Homer's trying to branch out and try something new. It's Friday, and he doesn't want to just drink a Duff. He wants to try something exotic. How about a doof?
It's from Sweden. Huh?
And we see Mo actually takes a bottle of Duff and draws 2 little dots over the U, trying to make it look like an umlaut. But even Homer is smart enough to realize, like, hey, this is just Duff.
That's pretty bad if you can't even pull one over on good old Homer Simpson there.
Well, the worst part is
You got me, didn't you? Okay, here you go. Red tick beer.
Which is disgusting.
What the fucked up part is, why was Mo trying to just get rid of a Duff if he already had another beer to offer? Like, he could have
It's
just...
probably more expensive too because it's imported.
Yeah,
He
maybe.
didn't want to reach into the good stuff, that good old red tick.
Ugh.
Suck one dry. Is that what it said on the bottle?
We actually learn as Homer's trying to figure out what that extra taste is, that it's made by dogs swimming around in the vats.
Needs more dog.
Tick-ridden dogs. Disgusting. That's fun stuff.
So gross.
But Homer takes a
Apparently
liking.
it fucks you up.
Yeah, it does. And Homer takes a liking to those beers because it's 1 a.m. and he is all the way drunk. I'm not talking tipsy. I'm not talking sauced. I'm not even talking stinking drunk. He is all the way Boris Yeltsin level of drunk, according to Moe's handy little breathalyzer that I've never seen him make anyone take in the past.
I love how he goes. He's got to go home and spend some quality time with the kids.
At 1 a.m. as he's smashed.
You know you're drunk when you have to leave at 1 a.m. and not 2 a.m.
Just in case you're not aware, the Boris Yeltsin reference is actually, Boris Yeltsin is actually the first president of the Russian Federation from 1991 to 1999. So this was while he was still in power and they were throwing jabs, which was kind of fun. Homer takes a scary fucking walk home. It's dark, it's creepy, psycho music starts playing.
So great.
I love that it's actually just a bus with the Springfield Philharmonic Orchestra who just happen to be playing those notes. But the terror continues because Homer quickly runs into the woods where he's confronted with a billboard that says the words "die." Only when he backs out and the wind blows, it's actually "diet," which makes him even more scared. And finally, Grandpa Simpson comes staggering out of the wood. "Oh, son, I'm so glad to see you. I went for the morning paper and I got lost and..."
No time for you, old man.
And he pushes Grandpa into the ground.
Classic. Hey man, in a moment of survival, you gotta do what you gotta do.
You know, it is, you gotta take care of number one, right?
That's right.
Totally.
You have a number 2.
We do get a really dope little musical cue here that I'm sure Jenny appreciated along with anybody else who watched the X-Files, because Alf Clausen does his best interpretation of the X-Files theme, and at this point, Homer legitimately does see something that he can't explain. A growing green man that looks very much like an alien comes staggering out. Though he does seem peaceful, because as Homer pleads, the alien just says, "Don't be afraid."
Yeah!
And one last little visual gag to close out the act. Homer actually runs through a field and spells out the word "yeah" as he runs away in
great.
terror.
The exclamation point is the best part where he
Yeah.
has to
Yeah.
jump.
Or jumps.
100%.
He has to jump out of it.
Perfect cursive too, by the way.
Yeah.
Perfect cursive.
He has better running writing than he does handwriting.
Exactly, yeah.
Very, very
Kids
unusual.
today probably can't even read that word at the end.
That does actually bring us to the end of our first act, but the first act is only 5 minutes and 21 seconds. This episode is
quick
very,
one, man.
very
Might be a record.
unbalanced. Yeah, it's very short. Both the first and the third act are actually very short in this one, making a very long second act. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. The act picks up right where the first one left off, with Homer running from the field, and he bursts through the room of his home, yelling at Marge, panting. Marge is like, "What the fuck? It's 2 a.m. What happened?"
That's exactly what she said, word for word. "It was an alien, Marge. It appeared in front of me and said, 'Don't be afraid.'"
Have you been drinking?
No. Well, 10 beers.
Barely a splash.
Just a couple casuals with the boys.
Yeah. Homer's story continues, though, into the next morning. At the breakfast table, he's actually telling Lisa that he saw something from another planet. But Lisa is trying to come up with skeptical explanations because, that makes sense to who Lisa is. She's very much a skeptic. I do like
Question nobody asked.
when Lisa suggests maybe it was just a dream. Homer's like, oh yeah? Well, when I came to, I was covered with a sticky translucent glue. Explain that. But
More sausage?
And then immediately Homer starts salivating all over himself. Dad, according to Junior Skeptic magazine, the chances are 175 million to 1 of another form of life actually coming in contact with ours.
So?
It's just that people who claim they've seen aliens are always pathetic lowlives with boring jobs. Oh, and you, Dad. Another quick fun fact, Junior Skeptic magazine wasn't a thing at the time of this episode being recorded, but the Skeptic magazine publishers liked it so much, this joke, that they did actually make a Junior Skeptic magazine that went on to be relatively successful.
That's awesome.
It's funny.
And there's
Thank
also
you,
a thing
Lisa.
from Uranus.
I am the thing from Uranus!
And we see Bart with spring goggles, a bike helmet, some handmade antennas, I should say. And he's got a super soaker, and he's trying to give Homer a scare. And it actually kind of does work for a second. Ah! Oh, it's just Bart. I can't believe it. I'm being mocked by my own children on my birthday.
It's your birthday?
Yes, remember? It's the same as the dogs.
Santa's little helper, it's your birthday? Oh, we gotta get you a present. Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
And
We love you.
The family loves on Santa's little helper while completely ignoring Homer. Good doggy. Good doggy.
Even Maggie gets out of her high chair and goes over.
Yeah, totally. And all Homer can do
Lousy,
is...
lovable dog.
Homer's not done telling his story, though. Even back at work, he's trying to tell the boys all about how awful it was. They set him on a cold metal table, they prodded him with humiliating probes, and then... Oh, wait, that was his physical.
Yeah, great story, Homer, really.
I love...
Good call, man.
I love Homer and Wiggum here. Wiggum is taking a report. Homer tells him the alien has a sweet heavenly voice, like Urkel, and he appears every Friday night, like Urkel.
Well, your story is very compelling, Mr. Jackass. Simpson. So I'll just type it on my invisible typewriter.
And Wiggum starts miming, doing like a typing up of a report and just being a complete and total jackass. And Homer is once again aware enough, at least in this episode, to know that that is the case. He tells him, you don't have to humiliate me.
I just tortured a building downtown. I'm afraid I'll do it again.
Oh, yeah, right. I'll just type it up on my invisible typewriter.
Only this time it's very clearly a man who just torched a building. I mean, he's wearing burnt clothes and he has a lighter.
He keeps on flicking it. You forgot the most important line, Richie. Fruitcake.
I don't want to say fruitcake.
We're then taken to the Springfield's FBI building, I guess, where, by the way, they've been busting into your business for the last 60 years, or breaking into your business. Something, they've not been minding their own business, for sure, for the last 60 years.
Just the Springfield building, though, not the regular FBI. That's fine.
Yeah, sure. We meet two very familiar-looking characters. In fact, it is none other than Mulder and Scully, played by
J. Edgar Hoover.
real-life actors Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny, who both lent their voice talents. It was actually, I believe, Al Jean who flew up to Toronto, Canada, where the X-Files was filmed. And that's where
Vancouver.
I'm sorry,
It was
Vancouver.
filmed in
Thank you.
Vancouver.
That's why you're here. We appreciate it. In Vancouver.
Dave, you got Canadians for a reason.
Yeah.
Way to use your resources, Miles.
Well done. But yeah, so they actually flew up to your neck of the world to do the voice recordings for this episode.
That's wonderful.
Awesome. And
Look
like
at
Jenny
this,
said,
Scully. There's been another unsustained UFO sighting in the heartland of America. We've got to get there right away.
Well, gee, Mulder, there's also a report of a shipment of drugs and illegal weapons coming into New Jersey tonight, which, let's pause right here. They never fucking did shit like that. They did it once, and it turned out to be about aliens in Russia with people with worms coming out of their eyes. So, like, they never, ever stopped a drug shipment. So that's what makes that so funny.
Well, Mulder actually
that's good,
does scoff
I
at it.
hardly think the FBI is concerned with matters like
right?
that.
And it's funny you bring that up because according to IMDb, not only is that a good joke, but it's also accurate because those things would actually fall under the ATF and DEA, respectively. So alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, and the Drug Enforcement Agency.
I love the cover of the newspaper that Mulder picks up. Human blimp sees flying saucer.
With a big old picture of Homer on there.
Yeah. That was like one of my biggest pops of this whole episode. I'm like, yeah, no, that got me pretty good.
So,
well, Jenny brought it up earlier too. They got J. Edgar Hoover with the dress on in the background.
Yeah, that's right.
He was actually rumored to be caught in drag a few times. No one knows if it's actually true or not, but
you do you, Jay.
Yeah, man, if you live your best life, buddy. If you look good in a pink dress.
2019, man, do what you want.
Whatever makes you happy.
It wasn't 2019 then, though.
What it is now.
It is now, baby. That's right. The future is now.
Soon we'll see Trump in a dress.
I hope so.
Same makeup.
Next
Can
year.
I like drag him up? That'd be great.
Death drop.
Oh yes.
So Mulder and Scully actually take a visit to Springfield, and specifically they go to the Simpsons' home, where I love the way that they introduce themselves because they show their badges, and David Duchovny actually has a picture of himself in a Speedo, which is apparently a reference to a very popular episode of The X-Files entitled Dwayne...
What episode is that, Jenny?
Dwayne Barry.
That's exactly what it is.
Say it. I don't need to say it.
Dwayne Barry, where David Duchovny or Mulder was walking around for a good portion of the episode in a very revealing swimsuit.
It was a fucking wonderful moment. Okay? I have had a crush on David Duchovny since I was like, how old was I when X-Files started? Like 9, 10 maybe? Like my whole life. I still have a crush on David Duchovny.
That's one of her cheap passes, okay?
Yeah, man. Like, I remember that episode very well.
If that happens, I just have to deal with it. Like,
and
yeah,
it wasn't that
David
great of
Duchovny.
an episode, though.
The D from Duchovny.
The funny thing is her VHS collection says it's like labeled all of the episodes, but really it's just that scene over and over and over and over again.
No, like, not really. I like him more than his body.
You heard it here, folks. In Jenny Bean's opinion, David Duchovny is just a woggin' bag of meat. Very, very attractive meat.
Damn right.
She didn't watch TV for like 15 years and then watch Californication.
No, that's too dirty for me. Thanks.
I actually like that show.
Scream. I don't know. I never really got into it. I saw like one episode and I was like, oh, too much for me.
Just X-Files VHS is on repeat, baby.
I got them on DVD now. Okay, let's.
Oh, okay.
VHSs, I was
Once
forced.
I found that out, I got rid of those.
Forced to throw them away as I cried as I threw them away. But then I was presented with DVDs, so it was okay. So I have only the good seasons, you know.
Only the
Jenny, I'm going to be honest with you. I had about the first 4 seasons on VHS because of my father. I tried to sell them, and I got I think a quarter for each.
Nice, that's awesome.
Did you record
that was
yourself,
literally a
though?
quarter, not like a quarter ounce for what it's worth.
That's my dad bought those when they came in the big collector's case with each like VHS tape in a different spot inside this big box.
Well, speaking of big boxes, we have a big box filled with some of the aliens that frequent the show. And actually, this one, it had Marvin the Martian, Gort, Chewbacca, Alf, and either Kang or Kodos. Isn't really clear. And according to the director's commentary, which I didn't mention actually featured the voices of Mike Reese, Al Jean, Reed Harrison, David Silverman, Steve Moore, and Matt Groening. They referred to this as the most illegal shot in the history of the show because they did not ask for permission for any of it.
I read that too.
Yeah, they just put them in there and hoped everything worked out, and it totally did.
Later.
Change Marvin's colors.
The voice actor who plays Alf actually did comment to either Mike Reese or Al Jean. They told the story, but it was just how much they liked the episode. It wasn't anything to do with anything legal.
Also, I need money.
We also get a
This makes me very angry.
We also get a very, very in-joke to X-Files fans in the next sequence because Mulder and Scully are giving Homer a lie detector, or a polygraph, if you will, and in the background you see a man in the shadows smoking a cigarette. Jenny, do you want to very quickly kind of explain that joke to everybody who's listening?
Okay, so we're going to leave out whatever just happened recently, because that's just a whole lot of nonsense, but pretty much the smoking man... If you've watched it, you know what I'm talking about. What the fuck? Anyways, the smoking man was like the one who was behind the bad government. Let's put it that way. He's always behind everything. He's kind of always there. So it's just nice to see him, you know.
Really,
it's a nice nod to fans of the show.
He could be like the main antagonist in a way, right?
Yeah. Like it goes all over the place. Like I'm not even going to try to get into it because I could sit here and talk for 2 hours about the smoking.
No, that's great. Just so we have an idea in case people didn't watch the X-Files.
He was like, you know, like the bad guy, quote unquote.
The next Derailers episode.
Oh my god, it'd be fucking 7 hours long.
Just let Jenny go off about Derailers. We can do
the
that.
The next
Derailers, the
8
X-Files.
episodes of the Derailers. Do a season each episode. There you go.
Yeah, seasons 1 through 7 only, though.
Cool.
But the polygraph test isn't going so well because the very first question is, do you understand how this works? And when he says yes, the thing explodes. Just complete and total chaos. So they run a few more tests trying to figure out if Homer is telling the truth or if there's a chance that he's delusional. And also just because they feel like he needs to lose some weight because they put him on a treadmill for a very long time. And Mulder's like, wait a minute, Scully, what's the point of this test?
No point. I just thought he could stand to lose a little weight.
His jiggling is almost hypnotic.
Yes. It's like a lava lamp. I like that his reflexes took over an hour before they kicked in.
Yeah.
Ow!
Ow!
We also get another transition because they very much set this up in a lot of ways, like an X-Files episode where you get like when you change locations, it tells you in the corner of the screen. Yeah, you've got
like the writing.
Right. So we cut to Moe's, and it has the time, but then the screen just starts to fill up over and over again with all work and no play, make Jack a dull boy, which is, of course, a Shining
fills up the whole screen.
But it is also, technically, there is an X-Files episode, and I cannot remember the fucking name of it right now, and it's pissing me off. But you know the one I'm talking about with the machines?
Yes.
That would say, like, kill them all or whatever.
Yes.
They keep flashing, so it's also, like, a little nod to the X-Files
awesome.
as well.
Double joke. I love it.
Yeah.
I just remember when I was a kid and that popped up the first time I saw the episode, I was like, The Shining! And I was like, I got it! Mom, Dad, I got the joke!
It's the
I know that one!
You don't want to get sued.
I don't want to get sued!
So, Mulder and Scully have brought Homer to this bar, Moe's, to recreate the evening. They tell him, Homer, we want you to recreate every move the night you saw this alien.
Well, the evening began at the Gentlemen's Club, where we were discussing Wittenstein over a game of backgammon.
Mr. Simpson, it's a felony to lie to the FBI.
We were sitting in Barney's car eating packets of mustard. You happy?
But really retracing his steps includes drinking a lot of alcohol. If you recall, it was 10 beers, I believe.
10 Red Tick beers.
Yeah, ew.
Well, he had 2 Duffs first, and then probably 8 Red Tick.
Do you think Red Tick gives you Lyme disease?
It might. Right. That's why he's yellow.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
And they also taste a little rough.
Oh. Nice.
You're barking up the wrong tree there.
High five, Jenny.
I did one good one. Yay.
1 per episode. You did it.
Funny.
What do you mean per episode?
Hey.
Oh,
mean.
Sorry, Jenny. That was
mean.
Aww.
What's your worst favorite episode again of Secret Levels?
Yeah.
Jenny, I think that you are one fine-looking woman, lady, and if I wasn't married, I'd go out with you like that. And Homer is actually talking to Scully, and he's getting drunker and drunker, and he ends up knocking his beer bottle over and splashing beer all over the bar. I'm so sorry. Whatever you do, don't tell Marge. God, I love her. Hey, a penny. I love drunk Homer so much. He just jumps from emotion to emotion and gets distracted by both his attraction for Scully and his love for his wife.
Which is real, by the way.
True.
Gillian Anderson always was awesome. I mean, you had David Duchovny,
Yeah,
They make
man.
it Gillian
Well, and the animators
Gosh,
of the show actually pointed out, I think it was David Silverman specifically, the director, mentioned that Gillian Anderson specifically is one of the human models that actually Simpsonized pretty attractive. Not to get weird about it, but like some people get like very different.
Oh, let's get weird,
Let's
man.
dive all in and get weird. But no, she still looks like an attractive female human, even in her Simpsons form.
Like, if that was out when Wayne's World was made, they'd be talking about her instead of Bugs Bunny and
Oh,
Drag.
of course. Yeah, 100%.
Did you find Gillian Anderson attractive when she was in The
Simpsons,
Simpsons? What? No. Neither did I.
Yeah, nope. Not me. Scully and Mulder wanted...
Well, somehow we knew this was going to happen with these guys on the show.
Scully and Mulder wanted to have a look around the rest of Moe's bar, and they actually meet Moe in the back room, and when they flash their FBI credentials, Moe immediately panics and tells a bunch of men in the back to get the killer well that they're washing back to SeaWorld. Moe is into some of the most fucked up shit on the show by far, because we've seen him in the illegal panda trade, the pants business, and now the killer well industry.
Man, that joke didn't really age well with documentaries like Blackfish, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It's like if you thought killer whales in captivity and small tanks were bad, well, here's a killer whale in the back of a shady bar being hosed down by some shadier men.
Maybe they're trying to take it back to the ocean.
Yeah, fair enough.
That started the hashtag #MeTuna movement.
Well said. Get him back to SeaWorld.
Homer, meanwhile, is still up front being drunk as fuck to the very bored FBI agents at this point. So I says the blue M&M,
one of the
red M&M.
statements you'll ever hear.
Yeah, that's true. So I says blue M&M, red M&M, they all wind up the same color in the end. Facts.
Homer, why don't you show us where you went when you left the bar?
And so he does. They go on a walk and they try to recreate the journey that he took the week before. And actually, it seems like it might be panning out because just like they did in the past, the first thing they do is run into Grandpa Simpson.
Poor Grandpa. Like, I don't even like old people. This poor guy's been there for 4 days.
Fuck him, am I right?
I fucking hate old people, okay? Sorry if you're old, but I probably don't like you.
Especially if they're vertically inclined.
Wow.
I'm short.
What about if the turtles got their teeth?
That's funny.
For the love of God, help me!
Slow down! Look at you. The turtle looks hilarious, by the way. Why does he have such big teeth?
Scully is just getting frustrated, though.
He's got Grandpa's teeth in there, yeah. Like, a turtle's a small thing, and Grandpa's got a big head. That's why the teeth are so big.
It's very reminiscent of when, I think it was Bart put them in while he was spinning on the fan, and they were very oversized.
Yeah.
As well.
Miles,
anyway,
I think...
This is worse than that time they were attacked by that flesh-eating virus.
I'm sorry. This line where she says that it's the worst assignment they've ever had makes me laugh so hard. Because if anybody's seen the X-Files, she has tombs coming out of her in a fucking shower to attack her. She gets kidnapped. There's fucking Fluke, man. There's all these things that happen in the X-Files that makes this episode look like a cakewalk.
Yeah, but they're not
But yet she's
bored.
still bitching.
This is eye-opening.
Like, fuck, man.
This is eye-opening.
You
When
didn't even
know
bring
it.
up the virus,
Yeah.
Jenny.
Oh, well, fuck the fucking virus. They brought it up.
At that point, Grandpa actually gets bitten by the turtle, and he gets pissed off because it's like, ow! It bit me with my own teeth!
That one went viral a couple years ago.
Did it?
Oh.
Honestly, that's karma because poor Grandpa made a burger bite somebody with a similar.
Yes.
You're
So
right.
yeah, it's
You're
karma.
absolutely
It's karma.
right. He had it coming.
With your own teeth. This burger just bit me.
And just about the...
Miles, I think we need to point out that it hasn't actually been a full week yet. I think it's only been like 4 days at this point between when
Yeah,
he saw
I think somewhere it says like 4 days. So
Oh, that's a good
He
point.
looks
Yeah,
haggard,
it's not
though.
Friday
He's
to
lost his
Friday.
liver.
Yes, pants are more ripped.
But either way, I guess 4 days was enough investigation because Scully is ready to call in the towel. But first, Mulder gives one of his famous Mulder paranoid speeches.
Mulderisms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But somewhere out there, something is watching us.
Sound like Keanu Reeves.
There are alien forces acting in ways we can't perceive. Are we alone in the universe? Impossible. When you consider the wonders that exist all around us. Voodoo priests of Haiti, Tibetan numerologists of Alpacia, I don't know the word. The unsolved mysteries of unsolved mysteries. The truth is out there.
And while he's giving this big speech, Mo and the boys from the bar are actually moving the fucking killer whale in the background.
With only 3 people.
Hilarious, yeah.
Who would have thought a whale would be so heavy?
The fence!
I did read somewhere that this little Mulder speech that they, like, when they, recorded, like, did the audio or whatever, they let him go for, like, they're like, just say whatever, and he went for, like, 2 hours of just, like, rambling, and this is what they picked out of that 2 hours of his rambling.
I heard that it went much, much longer as well, and that, yeah, they had to narrow it down considerably for time.
Just, like,
but
but they're just like, just go ahead.
But that really is very fitting, and it's so fun that David Duchovny was willing to parody his own character in that way, just because it's, if you watch the X-Files, at some point, Mulder just, like, kind of does the thing where he looks at the moonlight and, like, starts talking to himself.
Yeah. Enough times, yeah.
Homer is getting kind of depressed,
hilarious.
though, because nobody believes him, and he's in bed with Marge, even. Oh, Marge, I never felt so alone. No one believes me. This is the part where you're supposed to say, I believe you, Homer.
I don't believe you, Homer.
You do? Oh, Marge, you've made me so happy.
You're not listening. You're only hearing what you want to hear.
Thanks. I'd love an omelet right about now.
Poor Marge. Oh, poor Marge.
She
Homer,
kind of
please.
goes off here, though.
I try to be supportive, but this has gone too far. Please, just let it be.
No, I can't. This is my cause. I'm like the man who single-handedly built the rocket and went to the moon. What was his name? Apollo Creed?
Close?
The answer is yes, by the way. Yes, that was him.
That's correct, yes, factually accurate. But Homer is, again, actually, you can tell he's hurt. I mean, he really does believe what he saw, and he's really upset that nobody believes him, except for Bart, actually, who he thought was going to mock him, but turns out he wasn't. You actually believe me?
Yeah, I do. You seem so damn sure.
Thank you, son. And do you think you can stop the casual swearing?
Hell yes.
That's my boy. So they decide that they're going to go camping, actually, and they're going to find the alien on Friday. And then, if not, they're going to fake it and sell it to the Fox network.
He'll buy anything.
Now, son, they do have a lot of quality programming, too. I kill me. So there's a great transition here, which is just a downright parody of a Super Bowl commercial from 1997.
We got this.
Let's do it, baby.
Oh,
Bud.
wise.
Coors. So the Budweiser
all
frogs.
that over and over again with all your friends after this aired? I did.
I remember the Budweiser frogs after the Super Bowl commercial aired, and it was just fucking unbelievably popular. Like, everybody, everywhere you went, if somebody said Bud, you were guaranteed to get a Wise and an somewhere. I did really like the touch, though. Coors wasn't as common, though. I did like the addition of that tag with the alligator.
You gotta take it a step further to make it funny.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, making it funny is they're camping and literally everything they're using is labeled property of Ned Flanders. Bart decides to be bold in this moment since they're having a little father-son bonding. Hey, Dad, can I have a sip of your beer?
Now, son, you don't want to drink beer. That's for daddies and kids with fake IDs.
So close, Bart. Just a few more years from that.
He has a fake ID. He had got one when they went on the road.
That's true, but just to but he's like 25 in that to rent a car.
Exactly.
Yep. Homer suggests they pass the time by telling ghost stories, and they do the classic bit where Bart holds a flashlight up to his face, and he tells the tale of, that's how much college will cost for Maggie.
No!
So true.
Parents'
biggest fucking
yeah. We hope our kid gets a scholarship.
Fingers crossed, don't be smart or be super smart.
One or the other.
Just encourage him to do really dangerous things, like to partake in like skydiving and things of that nature. He'll have a very loving, happy, short life.
Sure, you could go to college, or we could buy you a monster truck!
That's it, dude! The monster truck's gonna pay dividends by comparison.
Exactly.
His new thing, he wants to be a monster jam driver.
There you
go. Send him down to the southern states and he's good.
Maybe one day he'll headline a WCW pay-per-view on top of a skyscraper in a sumo match with Hulk Hogan.
Against Hulk Hogan.
That's it, baby.
A hologram of Hulk Hogan. I fucked up his name. Shit, yeah!
Nice recovery.
Yeah, sure.
Close one, Rich. Homer is still recovering from the ghost story, so they decide to roast some marshmallows, and I love that Homer has 14 marshmallows on his roasting stick, I guess, for lack of better term.
Nice.
Yeah, that made me so happy.
This
is great.
Fantastic.
Full stick, man.
Pull 3 sticks.
But
3 sticks deep, man.
As they're enjoying this moment, we once again hear that wonderful X-Files music start to play, and lo and behold, a green glowing orb starts approaching from the forest, and once again, the alien appears.
We can't play the music of the X-Files because it's trademarked.
Mouth effects.
Homer immediately starts to try to respond to this message of peace. As a representative of the planet Earth, let me just say... Homer starts to catch on fire and he starts running around frantically. Which causes the alien to run in fear, as you might expect. Which, of course, leaves Homer with no proof that his alien is real.
Oh, yes, we do. I got it all on tape.
And just like Jenny's VHS collection of the X-Files, Bart Simpson managed to record this alien encounter between the green glowing man.
Did it say happy birthday to Rod or Todd on it or something?
Yeah, it does. And we actually cut to Leonard Nimoy again, who is back at this desk as we fade out of the illustration, and there's that great transition back into this den or wherever it is that Leonard Nimoy is sitting behind a desk narrating the events that we're watching.
So this, we didn't mention it before, so I'll mention it now, but this whole Leonard Nimoy scenes are in reference to a series that he used to do, which was called In Search Of, and it was hosted by Leonard Nimoy. It was like a paranormal documentary series. It was set up very much the same.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so that's what the whole reference to like that whole thing is.
And that's why we got the bean on board.
Beautiful.
I really like nerdy sci-fi.
It's sprouted with knowledge.
And so...
I like that. Good job, Richie. Now she's making sparks come out of her head with her hands.
Knowledge tree.
And so, from this simple man came the truth that we are not alone in the universe. I'm Leonard Nimoy. Good night.
Mr. Nimoy, we have 10 minutes left.
Oh, fine. Let me, just get, something out of my car.
And we hear footsteps run off. Slam!
I don't think he's coming back.
And with squeaky voiced teen coming to the realization that we've lost our narrator, we actually come to the end of our second act. And for sake of time, we're just going to keep on rolling once again. We've got Act 3, and we open up with Kent Brockman. Tonight on Eyewitness News, a man who's never been in a Tonight on Eyewitness News, a man who's been in a coma for 23 years wakes up.
Standing next to a man that's never been in a coma for 23 years.
Hey, does Sonny and Cher still have that stupid show?
No.
She won an Oscar, and he's a congressman.
Good night!
And the man dies.
And after all that time.
But first, E.T. phoned Homer Simpson, that is.
Hey, I want to point out that that's actually a good fucking headline. I like that.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome segue.
Yeah. Usually those headlines are pretty bad when Kent Brockman presents them, but that I would read.
Hey, to be fair, to his credit, they're not his fault. He's not the one writing them.
Fair.
I prefer the newspaper headline myself.
Yeah. Human blimp sees UFO. Gotcha, yeah.
So, Homer Simpson, who is shown here with his tongue stuck to a lamppost, has given this videotape, and we see the tape that Bart had managed to record, only unfortunately, they just show a very few short seconds of it, and they dubbed
blurred like Miles' old porn tapes.
And they dubbed the tape Close Encounters of the Blurred Kind.
Well, Lise, what do you think about the alien now?
And Lisa still goes on to doubt it, unfortunately.
Very Scully-like of her.
Very, very much taking on the characters of, the skeptic. Which is
But skipped over Phil, man. The boom operator.
Oh, Phil getting fired.
Oh my god, yeah. Everybody, they announced that they're going to be...
Sorry about that, Phil.
They announced that they're all going to be at the pasture on Friday, where the alien has reportedly been seen 2 weeks in a row. So the entire Channel 6 team will be there, except for Bill, the boom mic operator, who's getting fired tomorrow.
Smack!
Very unprofessional, Bill. Some of the townspeople do have questions, though. Even Dr. Hibbert is, actually he asks a very medically appropriate question, I must say.
They all show up at the Simpsons' house.
True.
Is the alien carbon-based or silicon-based?
The second one. Xylophone. Next question.
Is the alien Santa Claus?
Yes.
You were on my roof last night stealing my weather vane?
This interview is over.
Slam!
And when he slams the door,
Things got way too personal, way too quick.
the weather vane falls, and of course, it is Ned Flanders.
My favorite part is that he doesn't ask about all the camping equipment. He asks about the
Right?
weather
It's
vane.
just the weather vane.
And his kid's birthday present.
On Sunday morning, Reverend Lovejoy is giving maybe my favorite sermon to date. I remember another gentle visitor from the heavens. He came in peace and then died, only to come back to life. And his name was E.T., the extraterrestrial. I love that little guy.
Yeah, okay, Miles.
So Friday comes along, and it looks like the entire town has embraced this event. And I have to say, I used to live near a town called Aurora, Texas, where actually the Secret Transmission podcast once even visited to do some research. But Aurora, Texas had a supposed alien encounter back in like the 1930s or some nonsense. And that entire town has embraced it for the longest time. They do like a paranormal convention. They've got a little alien store. So like when this is all you have, this is super realistic to how a town will actually embrace this type of situation. Cause like it
Now
really
we
does
gotta
really
go
well.
there. Thanks for
I want
telling
to go
Jenny.
to this paranormal convention.
You totally should.
I hope it's in the winter.
Actually, I think
else
it's in
I'll
the
die.
summer, and you will die here. You just have to wear like an ice suit, like Mr. Freeze.
Yeah. I work nights, and it's been like mid to upper 90s at nighttime a lot here in the last
That's
week.
disgusting.
It's nuts.
How are
dude.
you guys not dead?
It's hot here, so I can't even imagine what it's like there.
Climatized.
Fuck that.
So we see.
That's right,
that-
I said it. It's hot in Canada.
Yeah, it's hot as hell here.
We see that at this event that the town is putting on, even the Springfield Elementary School band is getting into it as they're trying to play the theme from Close Encounters of the Third Time. They're doing a very,
I
very good
love it.
job of it.
So I wish I had a stack of mashed potatoes like while they were playing.
Yeah.
Very appropriate. Make the little shapes out of them.
Yes.
I really enjoy, though, Jimbo is wearing like a sandwich board sign that says alien dude need tickets to Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
That's who you talk to.
Nope, we don't.
And we see that Leonard Nimoy has actually even left his duties narrating to come to this event, and he's ordering a hot dog.
What do you want on your hot dog?
Surprise me.
It looked disgusting, by the way.
I love, though, when Bart asks why he's there, he's like, wherever there is a mystery and the unexplained, cosmic forces shall draw me near. And that's when they're like, yeah, what do you want on that hot dog? That cosmic hot dog? There's even a t-shirt stand, which is selling shirts that say things like, Homer was right, Homer is a dope, and no fat alien chicks.
I want to have a t-shirt that says no fat alien chicks, to be honest with you.
Homer is very pleased to see that they're selling a lot more Homer was right t-shirts, but only because he finds out that they sold out of the Homer is a dope t-shirt in 5 minutes.
Marge, how could you?
Maggie and Marge are both wearing those t-shirts, and Marge explains that they're 100% cotton and look at the fine stitching on dope.
I'll take 2.
Which they're out, Homer. You can't even have one.
So on cue, the alien once again starts approaching as that X-Files music plays. It's almost like when they play that music, the alien comes. And the entire town is completely shocked to learn that Homer isn't just a crazy drunk. Well, at least he's not exclusively a crazy drunk, because he was, in fact, right about this alien. And the alien shows up, and just like before, seems very peaceful.
I bring you love.
Is that the love between a man and a woman, or the love of a man for a fine Cuban cigar?
I bring you love.
It's bringing love. Don't let it get in the way.
Break its legs!
And in traditional Springfield style, it takes absolutely nothing to cause a complete mob scene to break out.
What do you mean in Springfield style? Do you not think this is the way that it's going to go down in Area 51? Like, let's
no
be honest.
No one's going to make
here.
it to Area 51, dude.
Hey, man,
They're
I'm
going to
totally
get shot
there.
down.
If we found an alien,
First thing I do when I see the alien.
Dude, so legit, I was out of the country
legs.
whenever the Area 51 thing was happening. I had no Wi-Fi
I was wondering
service.
about this.
And when I get home, I see all this like Area 51 like shit like trending, and for like a brief moment, I'm like, oh my god, like the world has changed. We made contact. Turns out it's just idiots. Nothing's changed at all.
Yeah.
No, it's a bunch of people who want to storm Area 51 because they feel like if there's like 500,000 people, they can't get all of you.
There's probably over 100,000 bullets per person.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's not going to
There's
go
that
well
one
for
guy
them.
in the comments saying all Naruto run that will make it. So, you know.
Yes.
That's right.
I noticed something in the animation on this point, too. Like, Marge is not wearing that shirt that she wore, like, seconds ago.
Because Scully is.
Marge isn't, though.
Oh, interesting. Nice catch.
Oh, goof.
And
a goof on Matt Groening's part.
Probably David Silverman
right now.
Call the right person out at least. Come on. But we still love you and hope you come on the show one day. And actually, Smithers makes a very close call save as well, because the town is about to attack this alien when Smithers shines a light, literally, on the situation.
It's Lisa.
Oh, it is
That's
Lisa. It's Lisa who shines the light on the situation. Because when you light up the alien, it turns out it's just Mr. Burns. And then it's Smithers who goes on to explain that it's the result of a medical procedure that is designed to help Burns cheat death for another week that he goes through each and every Friday. First, it's a great bit of animation because he's on this conveyor belt where he goes through a chiropractic adjustment is what they call it, but they like completely bend him in half. Then they add eye drops, which enlarge Burns' pupils, and painkillers, which also go along with the vocal cord scraping.
Don't worry.
You won't feel a thing till I jam this down your throat.
He pulls out this awful looking device.
Not to mention, We skipped over one of my favorite lines of all time, which is groundskeeper Willie.
You're right. Yep.
Yeah, saying, after Burns says, "I bring you love," and he says, "It's a monster! Kill it! Kill it!"
It's not a monster. It's Mr. Burns.
Oh, it's Mr. Burns.
Kill it!
Kill
it! Smithers goes on to explain that this whole procedure leaves Mr. Burns twisted and disoriented. And Mr. Burns usually goes and wanders out of the hospital and into the woods to, I guess, walk it off for a while.
La 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 la.
The most rewarding part was when he gave me my money.
And that's the other joke that I'm between, because goddammit, I love that one so much too. Dr. Nick is so great in that moment, and I just, honestly, I love both that joke and the one from the very beginning so much. It's a tie.
I love that the sign on the building says cash only.
Like all of the best medical procedures, yes. There is still one more question, though. What's with the glowing?
I'll field that question. A lifetime of working in a nuclear power plant has given me a healthy green glow and left me as impotent as a Nevada boxing commissioner. And now that I'm back to normal, I don't bring you peace and love. I bring you fear, famine, pestilence, and...
Dr. Nick shows up. Booster! He gives... Dr. Nick shows up and gives Mr. Burns another shot, which immediately turns Burns back to the peace-loving, joyful-sounding person that he is while he's on drugs.
Good morning, starshine. The Earth says hello.
And before you know it, Leonard Nimoy, Mulder, Scully, Chewbacca, and basically every Springfieldian in town joins in and starts singing Good Morning Sunshine as they all raise their arms into the air.
And now Jenny Bean herself, by herself, will sing this entire song.
No, and no.
Twinkle below. Good morning, starshine. You meet us along.
And we cut to Leonard Nimoy's desk, where we see squeaky-voiced Queen sitting in the chair. And so concludes our tale. I'm Leonard Nimoy. Good night, and keep watching the skies.
That part killed me, man.
Marge and Homer had a nice romantic moment there.
Oh yeah, they embrace, and you can tell they're...
You said you were going to bring everybody peace and love, and you did. But I thought the alien was the one that promised those things, not Homer.
It's true.
Thanks, Marge.
The commentary did call out one director you may have heard about, Judd Apatow, who they say the ending of 40-Year-Old Virgin is awfully reminiscent of this episode. But, I mean, I don't think it was... I think it was in a very friendly... I mean, they've actually used Judd Apatow's... he's written an episode of The Simpsons, so I'm going to say that everything's fine, and it was friendly jabs. But that does bring us to the end of our third act and to the episode, The Springfield Files. First and foremost, thank you so much to the Derailers, and wow, pat on both Richie and Mai's back for keeping you motherfuckers on the track.
So, guys, what do you think about hamsters?
I love hamsters, but I prefer guinea pigs, actually. Yeah.
I'm such a guinea pig,
They're like
mama.
big hamsters.
Derailers, is there anything else about this episode that you guys would like to say before you get on out of here?
I just think that this episode was great, and I love the X-Files, so that's good. But it gave the X-Files, like, the chance to do something different, and then later they branch out and had more comedic, episodes later on down the road. So I think this was kind of a doorway to that. And it's also funny that in an X-Files episode before, so like technically Simpsons Simpsons, what's the word I'm looking for?
Preceded the X-Files when it aired?
No. Simpsons is like real in the X-Files universe, is what I'm trying to say, because in an X-Files episode that was before this Simpsons episode, there was a joke that a guy looked like Homer Simpson's brother.
I saw that while I was doing research for
I
this.
thought that was
That's
really cool too, that,
It's canon in both.
I legitimately learned more about the X-Files doing this than I did about this Simpsons episode, and I'm okay with that. I thought that was
Same,
cool.
Actually.
Yeah.
I'm just here for the train ride.
Richie, what about you or that book of yours, sir?
We mentioned everything in my guidebook, so there's no need for that tomfoolery right now.
I know, that's a lot of good shit.
I do want to say that I remember the advertisements leading up to the original airing of this episode, and we were a X-Files household, so like this is very exciting to us. And then I more so remember the syndicated advertisements for this, because they would do the FBI badge of Mulder, and then they would also do him actually seeing Mr. Burns for the first time and the diet sign. And that used to air. That's one of those things that you saw like every time there was a commercial break in syndication. You would see this over and over again. But I remember the excitement level when this first came out, and it was pretty high up there. And I remember feeling like it delivered back in the day. And I feel like it's a pretty straightforward episode on the rewatch. I feel like this season we've had a lot more straightforward episodes without a B plot, or with the B plot that's kind of becomes the A plot and forgets about the main plot. And I'm okay with that. I like the difference, the different feeling and the more focused storytelling at times.
It's nice to have a change of pace so that you're not constantly getting the same beats over and over and over again. I agree with you there.
Right.
I do also want to say one last thing, and that has to do with the creation of this episode. I already mentioned that this was a Mike Reese and Al Jean episode as opposed to a Bill Oakley and Josh Weinstein episode, but they actually had the idea for this episode back when they were still on The Simpsons, primarily in season 4. It was actually a show that they saw a magazine cover for the X-Files. They decided to give it a watch. They thought it was pretty cool, a unique take on television. And they're like, why the hell not? Let's give this little unknown show a little pop. But that episode never got created at that time, so when it came back around when they were doing these contract episodes in season 8, they decided they wanted to bring it back, this story idea, though of course by this time it was no longer some unknown show that nobody had heard of. At this point, the X-Files was in season 4 and it was absolutely a smash hit. So really...
Yeah, it's fucking prime.
Right, it was absolutely at its prime. So the bump came a little bit too late, but at the same time, it's still a wonderful moment in crossover television history. And I think it was a really fun episode. And it's just neat, like Jenny Bean pointed out, that they exist in each other's worlds. Homer Simpsons exists in the X-Files. Mulder and Scully exist in the Simpsons. Man, the world is a beautiful place. Speaking of beautiful places...
Don't forget about the cigarette smoking man.
And the smoking man. Speaking of beautiful people that smoke, the Derailers. Tell us about your show.
Yay.
Plug yourselves. Talk about Secret Levels. Talk about the wrestling. Talk about all of it, baby. Tell us all where we can find you online.
There's a lot of shit to talk about.
Yeah, I have to take a bathroom break, so you guys just keep talking.
Well, I'm just going to throw in quickly before we get to the Twitters and whatnot, that little factoid you dropped there at the end about how it was supposed to be season 4 and then it ended up in season 8. That almost makes it a little more interesting that the guy who wrote it was doing his first ever Simpsons episode.
Yeah.
Because, if they had the idea that long ago and then they wanted to bring it back, to throw it to a guy who was doing his first ever episode as opposed to a guy who was more of a Simpsons veteran writer, kind of makes that a little more interesting. So props to that writer for doing such a great job on an idea that they clearly had for 4 years
and
plus.
He was hired from doing a spec script of the Larry Sanders Show, for what it's worth. It's just fascinating how, like, writing a spec script for a show that has nothing to do with the critic gets you hired for the critic, and then because you just happen to get hired by good dudes who didn't want to leave you hanging, you end up with a spot on their other show, which just happens to be The Simpsons. Yeah. It's a crazy world we live in.
And then you knock it out of the park.
100%.
So good on him. Good on him.
You gotta take your chance and run with it, right?
That's right. Twitters. I am Ripkin at RipkinWN.
I'm Goobs at GoobsWN.
You can follow the show at the Derailers.
We also have Derailed Wrestling, which you can follow on Twitter at WrestleNerds, and check it out on YouTube, Derailed Wrestling. Just search it up. I'm sure you'll find it somewhere down the list.
You can also check out my side bitch Secret Levels podcast. We talk about retro video games, and we have a lot of fun doing that as well.
And anything that goes wrong is Toby's fault, right?
Always.
That's correct.
Especially if Richie's on the show, because he's still in the bathroom.
Oh, if Richie's not here, I guess they're
Shoutouts to Keanu Reeves.
Of course.
And that's pretty much it.
That was a great point.
Oh, you're gonna regret saying that. He said, ha ha ha, that's a great point. I'm like, you're going to regret saying that.
Well, guys, thank you guys so much for joining us. It's an absolute blast. It's chaos. It's organized chaos, but it's absolutely a blast to have you guys on the show. You guys did great. It was wonderful. And that's what makes your show so much fun, is when you tune into the Derailers, you legitimately have no idea where the topics are going to go. It's very, very fun listening.
The fucking soldier's brain inside.
It's a perfect analogy. It's wonderful. So do make sure and go and check them out. It's a much less structured show, which makes it a perfect companion so that you don't get burned out on going episode by episode with us. So check them out when you can. Of course, you can also follow us. You can follow Richie at thewiz_kid23. You can follow me at Mr. Most Days Off. You can follow our show at Best Darn Diddly. Make sure you do that all over social media. Most importantly, come back and see us next week. We're going to be back with another wonderful Season 8 episode. We're going to be talking about the twisted world of Marge Simpson.
Hey, Richie, anyone want to call you Cheese Whiz Kid?
Yes.
I appreciate that.
All right. And to everyone else, keep listening to the podcast.
And until next time, be cromulent to each other.
Or don't.
Hey man, what would Keanu do?